What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a video that a lot of you have been waiting for, and that is the top 5 mistakes that players make in the yellow ranks. Now as I was watching my playthrough of the yellow ranks, I noticed that a lot of you guys still make the same mistakes that players made in the green ranks, and I didn't want to just make the same exact video over again. So what I decided to do was carry over the biggest mistake that I think carries over from the green ranks into the yellow ranks, and then after that I'll still have 4 new mistakes that I haven't talked about previously. And other than that, the format will be pretty much the exact same as my last video. So without further ado, let's get started. So the biggest mistake that carries over from the green ranks into the yellow ranks is too much whiffing. Now, not too dissimilar from the green ranks, yellow ranks are really just looking to run into each other and collide, and whoever presses the best button wins, right? But that's not how it really works as you progress through the ranks. Now, I don't think that fixing this issue will help your immediate game, as other players around your rank are not really looking to bait out your attacks and they'll whiff punish you for it. So instead, what I urge you to do is take advantage of other people in your rank making this mistake. Be ready to bait out their attacks and they'll whiff punish them for it. Now if you want an example of how this could be done, then I outlined it for you in my previous video, the top 5 mistakes players make in the green ranks. So go ahead and check that out there if you want an example of that. Now let's jump right into number 4, and that is players not using their movement offensively. Now I'm going to show you guys a quick clip of how you can be offensive with your movement. Notice how I used Hwoarang's Flamingo sidestep there to increase the chances of me evading any potential interrupt move by Jack. And since I was successful and I forced him to whiff, I was able to keep pressuring him from there. So when you're being offensive, there's a difference between being kind of randomly aggressive and calculated aggression. Now here's more of a wild aggression style. Notice how I blocked the mid from Hwoarang and he uses another mid right away. Right, so there's a big hole here. I can easily interrupt that. But there is a way that you could use that same exact sequence of moves and still be successful. All you have to do is add a sidestep in between. And you'd be surprised at how many things a sidestep like that can actually avoid. Also, you could throw in other evasive moves like high crush to reduce the chance of your opponent interrupting you as well. Now, this isn't me giving you a way to not play defense, because defense is still very important, but occasionally you can get away with playing a little more offense if you are evasive enough to maneuver around your opponent's counterattacks. So this brings us to number 3, and that is players attacking against plus frames. Now I know I have a similar mistake like this that I mentioned in my green rank video, but the difference here is that green ranks would attack off of their own negative frames, essentially frame trapping themselves. Whereas yellow ranks, I would have to create my own plus frames first and then frame trap them that way. So let's watch this clip. There was a frame trap and he attacked and I launched him for it, right? So I go for the frame trap again and he attacked again. But this time I thought he would adapt to it and try to block, which is why I went for the throw setup. But he attacked, which leads me to believe that he would have kept falling for this frame trap had I have continued to go for it. Now, if you're pretty new to the game, or you just simply don't study frames very much, you may be asking yourself, how would I know when my opponent has plus frames? Well, there's 2 general rules you can kind of go by for this. So 1 is that you shouldn't really attack when you're block stunned, and 2 is that you shouldn't really attack after you get hit. Now there are some exceptions to these rules like everything else, but generally if you follow these most of the time, you will reduce the amount that you get hit by frame traps. So let's cover what happens if you try to attack during a block stun. So here Josie does her 4-4-3, I try to attack. If she frame traps me with down 4-2, it doesn't matter how I attack, when I attack, or where I attack. If I try to attack in between that, I will get launched for it. So what you can do in this case is you're just going to want to block. So you block the frame trap, and then from there you can start your pressure. Or in this case, this is actually punishable, so you can block the frame trap and then punish her for it. But either way, you don't want to be attacking. Now you might encounter a case where your opponent realizes that you're just blocking and they decide to start spamming you with block stun like this. So what do you do in this scenario? You can't just block the entire time, right? Well, you could risk it by trying to interrupt like this, but you could get hit by a frame trap. So a better option would be to just sidewalk and punish her that way. And the reason that the sidewalk is so good is not only because it evades that specific option, but it could also potentially evade a frame trap as well. Also, as long as you're not attacking during the sidewalk, you're preventing yourself from getting counter hit. So sidewalking in general is less risky than attacking and even more rewarding if you pull it off, which is why I think sidewalking would be the best option in this scenario. Now, it may be really tempting to always sidewalk here because of the potential reward you can get, but I advise that you don't make it too obvious or don't do it too often, because that's why homing moves exist. So that's why I think it's a good idea a lot of the time to just block the next move and start your pressure from there, and occasionally mixing in the big sidewalk to evade your opponent's next attack and then whiff punishing him that way. So this brings us to number 2, and that is players not using their optimal punishes or not punishing at all. So this first player would actually block some of my low pokes, but he wouldn't punish me for it. And this next player may have been even worse, because he would block my big launch punishable lows and just poke me for it. So as you guys are probably well aware by now, I'm not here to give you all the intricate frame data. I'm here to give you general rules you can follow to push you in the right direction. So in this case, I have 3 general rules you can follow to drastically improve your punishing game. And the first one we'll talk about is hop kicks. So many characters have hop kicks. Now hop kicks are usually at least -13 when you block it. So when you block it, you should be using your 13 frame punish, or your 12 frame punish, or your 11 frame punish if you have that, or even at least your 10 frame punish. Hop kicks are really strong tools in Tekken, and you need to be making your opponent pay for it when you block it. So the second rule we'll talk about is stagger lows. So what is a stagger low? That is when you block your opponent's low and it staggers them like that. And that means that it is launch punishable. So when you block these lows, you need to be launching them. And they can be anything from a big Brian low sweep to a Mishima hell sweep. Now these lows are launch punishable for a reason. And that is because if they weren't launch punishable, they would be overpowered. So if you blocked lows like this and you're not launching them, then you're essentially making these moves overpowered. Now the final general rule I'm going to give you guys on this topic is quick low pokes. So generally, quick low pokes are at least -11. Now there are a few exceptions to this, but for the most part this will be true in most cases. So this means that you could at least punish it with your while rising 4. Now you may be thinking, oh, that's not a lot of damage, it's not really a big deal. But it is, because it can give you that extra little bit of damage that you need, but on top of that, it also gives you plus frames, which is really important. So if you find yourself constantly stuck in your opponent's offense, then properly punishing the things that you block can be a great way to not only get a little bit of damage off, but also give you the plus frames that you need to begin your offense. Alright, this brings us to our final, and in my opinion, the most exploitable mistake that yellow ranks make, and that is getting way too comfortable with your setups. So as you notice, this Jack will always jab me, and then low poke me right afterwards. And it worked a few times because this is actually a really good setup. I've seen top Jack players use it quite a bit, but when it's the only thing you do, it becomes predictable to the point where his jab served as nothing more than a huge warning signal to let me know that I need to low parry next. Now, there's not anything I can really show you in practice mode about this because it all depends on your playstyle, but I guarantee you that a lot of your setups are a lot less invisible than you think. So the best advice I can really give you is to just be more aware of when your opponent adapts to your patterns, and then change it up accordingly. Alright, so that'll conclude it. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button below because I have a lot of plans for analysis videos like these in the future. And as always, I encourage everyone to drop a comment below to let me know what you like and what you didn't like, so I could try to make my next one even better than this one. And that'll about do it, so I'll see you guys next time. Peace.